Welcome back. This video is picking up on differentiation where we left off at the end of the previous video. The definition I used in the previous video is that differentiation is pitching the learning to meet the needs of the children you are teaching. And at the end of the previous video, I asked you to think about whether differentiation is just pre-planned and limited to learning activities. Differentiation is also about adapting your behaviour to meet the needs of the children. Fortunately, many of you listening to this won't be blessed with this monotonous drawl. However, differentiation of your tone is important when teaching children with SEMH needs. Children with SEMH needs have heightened fight or flight and are prone to experiencing greater levels of anxiety. If you are someone whose pitch and tone changes rapidly to show your excitement, it may be a case that children with limited emotional literacy hear the tone before the actual words you're speaking, and this is why you may sometimes see aggressive or unexpected responses to heightened praise. Likewise, at times, we may need to raise our voices. However, you will have to consider carefully whether anonymous correction or direct address will best meet the needs of the children. And this isn't always possible in the first few weeks of term where you don't know the children you're working with. And we do all make mistakes, and it's important when mistakes do happen and when we have the unexpected reaction, we differentiate our language further in future. When a child reacts unexpectedly to your approach, it could inform a change in your pedagogy. It could be the time to reflect on the approach you took to working with a certain child and recognize that it was your approach or your language that led to the escalation in the behavior. But you can also be comforted by the response. And this is why reflection is so important, especially if you're new to the school, to be confident that you have reinforced your insistence on high standards and expectations, and the next time you hold the child to account using the same high level of expectations, you may have a much more consistent response. However, be cautious in that if this response becomes a pattern of behaviour, it is going to be important that you are reflecting on your approach to certain individuals. There are other behaviours that you could or should differentiate for. These include body language, so the height you are speaking to a child from, your proximity to them, be it too close, be it too far away, the way you are pointing. It is extremely important that you consider your movement. For example, if you're asking for children to track you and you have a child with a hearing impairment in your class, are you moving towards them? Are you enabling them to lip read? Likewise, sudden movements around children with SEMH with heightened anxiety may cause them to become more anxious. Similarly, you may need to be cautious when making sudden movements around children with ADHD. Finally, and often when working with low-attaining children, there is a real excitement generated when you make a big breakthrough, but you need to be cautious with over-exciting the children with your praise. The child with ADHD may not be able to self-regulate, and you need to make sure you aren't over-exciting the children to a point where they're not able to bring themselves back to a calm working level. Ending this video with a food for thought. Teaching is a profoundly emotional profession requiring high degrees of emotional labour, and often the biggest frustrations come with the lowest attaining children. Certainly for many of us, making a difference with the lowest attaining children is why we've become teachers, and we recognise the amount of emotional labour we need to put into closing the attainment and progress gaps. However, we have to be careful that we don't create an imbalance where our emotional responses to children who haven't got it in the way you'd hoped they would with your careful planning aren't displayed in a negative way to those children.